You ever notice how the phrase "nothing to see here" usually means there's absolutely nothing to see here, right? Yeah. Let's talk about the e-files again, because apparently we're still doing the trust us routine. Let's talk about the hard decisions. Dan Bongino and Cash Patel was just together on Dan's podcast saying that while they were in the government together, the biggest decisions, the level to 10 decisions hit their desk, okay? And they would take care of them. But listen, what do they say after that?
A level 10 meaning there's a pardon the language, but a shitty decision and a shittier one. Because if there was a good decision to be made, someone else made it. And then when those decisions, that's every day. I know you know this because I would knock on your door and you'd be like, "What now?" And I'd be like, "Here we go again." Like something else will come up. But I just want to put into perspective for folks out there, when that decision can't even be made by me, it goes to you. When it doesn't go to you, it goes like to the president's desk. He's dealing with like level 11 decisions. And that's the thing in DC is that's why the batting average isn't always going to be 1,000. There's no good call to be made or someone else would have made it. There's just.
So what he just said is that anything beyond level 10 had to go to Trump's desk. Don't let that sink in. Cool. So if redactions happened, if names were pulled, if files were sealed, those weren't coffee boy decisions. Those went upstairs to Dan and Cash. Not an accusation. That's called chain of command, guys. Then it went to Trump. So here's the question. Who made the call? Who said, you know what, that name stays blacked out? Who signed off on that? Because somebody had to. Documents don't redact themselves. The redaction project, okay, we've discussed this in the past. FOIA emails show that there was something called a special redaction project. Nearly 1,000 FBI staff, over $850,000 in overtime. Guys, that kind of money, that's not some casual review. That is a full-blown operation. Now, Bongino says that he was reviewing what had been done before he took office. Fine. Then review it publicly. Explain it to us clearly, because when you spend almost $1 million blacking out pages, people are going to assume, guys, you're protecting someone. And that assumption doesn't come from conspiracy theorists. It comes from human nature. Okay? We know, we've heard that the e-files are a Democrat problem. We've heard that. Trump is even saying it on Air Force One. We'll get into it in a moment. Is Dan Bongino protecting the Democrats? Make it make sense for me. Is Cash Patel protecting the Democrats? If it's truly, as Donald Trump says, a Democrat problem, then why is Dan Bongino and Cash Patel and Pam Bondi taking up for the Democrats and redacting their names to protect them? Later on in the podcast, another segment of the podcast, Dan Bongino goes on to say that, look, man, you might have had 4 guys. We had to redact their names because we didn't want, bad press to get out about them. Bro, I don't care. If you were spending any time on Lolita Express, the Island, Zorro Ranch, I want to know who you are.
Exonerated on Epstein. And it's really interesting because they've been pulled in. Think of it. They've been pulled in. Clinton and many other Democrats have been pulled in.
So Hillary Clinton said in an interview today that she and her husband are getting pulled into the Epstein matter to divert attention from you and that your administration has something to hide. What's your response to that?
I have nothing to hide. I've been exonerated. I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. They went in hoping that they'd find it and found just the opposite. I've been totally exonerated. In fact, Jeffrey Epstein was fighting that I don't get elected with some author, a sleazebag, by the way. And I've been totally exonerated. No, they're getting pulled in, and that's their problem. I don't know. They're going to have to see what happens. But I watched her in Munich, and she's...
So I did watch Hillary. She said, they did some fundraising together and so on. Look, the man said he's exonerated multiple times. The files I've seen did not look like exoneration. And again, is Dan Bongino, as in Cash Hotels, they're saying that they had to protect somebody. Was it the Democrats? Never forget the famous.
Credible information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals. And the information we have, again, is limited.
So the answer is no one
For the information that we have
in the files.
in the case file,
Okay.
there is no.
He needs to be prosecuted. He's lying. We know this now. We've seen it. The problem is that they're not releasing any more files. No more files will be released. Well, that gives us a major problem because a few things. Tim Burchett states that satanic reports from Epstein files will shock the world. Okay. So that's now known. Okay. Shock the world, he says. That's pretty alarming, wouldn't you say? Wouldn't you say? But now we have Nancy Mace stated today that pretty much every room had cameras. Essentially, every single room had a pinhole camera and audio. Okay. On the island, on the ranch, and even on the airplane. Audio and video everywhere. Think about that for a second. Okay. Think about that. Let her tell you herself.
Weekend reviewing some information, and there were pinhole cameras in every single room of every single property of Epstein's properties. Those were not, neither the audio nor the video were included in those files. There were cameras throughout his planes, audio and video. Those were those. There are files that have been taken down off the DOJ's website. One of them is actually highly embarrassing to me, because it was just somebody right after I announced my run for governor, put something out there about me and Ron DeSantis from, 20 years ago, which I didn't even know Ron DeSantis was a person back then, but they should disclose that. That's in the files, and it was taken.
I'm sure it's totally normal. I'm sure it's totally normal to have pinhole cameras and secret microphones hidden in every room and plane and on the ranch. You guys probably have that, right? Think about that for a second. If that's true, then the BS that they've been pushing, this just wasn't a crime operation against children. This was a leverage operation, obviously. And leverage only works if powerful people are involved. So the question is, where are those tapes? I don't want summaries, no press conferences. We looked into it. Where are the tapes? Blur the victims, mute names if you have to, but don't tell the public the cameras existed and act shocked when we want to see the footage. It's funny how this kind of aged well. J.D. Vance, remember when we learned that our wealthiest and most powerful people were connected to a guy who ran a ring, and that guy died mysteriously in jail, and now we just don't want to talk about it? Yeah, and Thomas Mass says, yeah, why is that? And why is it now, JD, you're very quiet about it? Even Don Jr., you know who's not on the e-file list? My father. Because if he was, it would have leaked in about half a second. That's a fact. Right? Then Charlie Kirk said, if you're in this room right now, you're probably on the FBI list. You're in good company. I'm on every list except the E list. We haven't heard anything about that one in a while. How is it that my father could be convicted of 34 crimes, but no one? He's reposting what Don Jr. says. That didn't age well, did it? The 38,000 plus mentions didn't age well. Now, let's talk about Les Wexner, billionaire. He gave Jeffrey power of attorney. Think about that. He gave him access to wealth. Now, Wexner's been brought in to be deposed. He says, I was duped. Maybe he was. But here's the uncomfortable truth, man. You don't hand over that level of control without enormous trust. And if Jeffrey was running hidden cameras everywhere, you can't call that random. That was insurance by far. Insurance policies are designed to protect the policyholder. So again, if nothing implicates anyone innocent, release it. Here they're talking about it today.
They spent a lot of time together. Mr. Wexler admitted that he traveled to both Epstein's Island as well as his other properties. Mr. Wexler also admitted that Jeffrey Epstein had access to a lot of Mr. Wexler's wealth. And when asked even simple questions, even as it relates to Mr. Epstein being the co-president of the foundation that established the area that we're in today, Mr. Wexler had little to say. In fact, it's clear that Mr. Wexler is trying to downplay how close Jeffrey Epstein and Mr. Wexler actually were. And we should be very clear that there would be no Epstein Island, there would be no Epstein plane, there would be no money to traffic women and girls. Mr. Epstein would not be the wealthy man he was.
He was listed, Les Wexler was listed as a co-conspirator per the FBI. So why now are we getting deflection? We got Dan Bongino and Crash Patel saying, oh man, hard decisions, man. Trust the process. We had to protect the people, man. We put America first. Oh, did you? Because I got on Instagram, go look at it. Both of those boys saying the Americans need to put Israel first. That's what they said. So, okay, protect who? Protect victims? Absolutely. Protect random innocent names? But protect public officials from embarrassment? Nah, that ain't justice. That's called maintenance. And Americans are tired of maintenance. Again, people are trying to make this about the left-right paradigm. Hell, I did too. I'm not going to lie. This ain't about Republican versus Democrat because Jeffrey didn't give a damn what political party you're a part of. He didn't care. He liked both of them. You know why? Because behind the scenes, when all the dust settles, whenever they put on the show for us, behind the scenes, though, they're homies. What we have now is powerful people versus transparency. And we have crash dummies like Crash Patel and Dan Bongino running cover. If you're clean, transparency helps you, man. If you're dirty, transparency destroys you. So which is it, guys? Here's the deal. If cameras existed, release the footage. If redactions were necessary, explain them specifically. If decisions went to the top, own the decision. Because the longer this drags out, the more it looks like protection. And trust me, the way the midterms are going to go and the way the course after that, this is never going away. Unfortunately, I know they want to make it go away. They want to say it's a Democrat problem and this and that. It's a hoax. I know, but it's not going away. Americans are done with protecting elites that have zero interest in them. Release it. All of it. We're tired of it. We're tired of campaign promises that are not being met. Matter of fact, it's going the complete opposite, getting in bed with the freaking deep state, the swamp. The swamp is rising, guys. Pay attention. Don't believe the nonsense they're feeding you. And with that, stay frosty, stay strapped, stay dangerous. Black Scout out.
2, 3. 4, 2.